the inactive projects now. GORO, as I mentioned earlier, is a Ragnarok Online server. Our server is probably the most customized server you will ever find that sticks to what Ragnarok is originally about. Now, like, you might find some servers that are considered role-playing servers, but they completely change the underlying theme to the game to something else. Well, we don't do that. We leave Ragnarok as Ragnarok, but we add a hell of a lot to it. We have over 1,500 custom items that we've gotten off of Athena's forums or graphics repository sites like Crystalline Dreams. And some of those sites no longer exist because they were taken down or the runners no longer had the time to run them. So some of the items that we have are pretty hard to find. And we also have a lot of actually other custom stuff that we made ourselves, like NPCs, systems, and I'll explain the systems things later, because they're really NPCs, but they're different kinds of NPCs than what you would normally find. And quests and just all sorts of things. One of our main features that I want to mention right now, though, is our dual class system. And basically what a dual class is, it's a combination of a transient class with another one. And a trans class is a class that's at the highest point of a job tree. So like for the swordsman job tree, there's two transient classes. There are transcendent classes, actually, is what they're called. There's the Paladin and the Lord Knight. And so if you were to make a dual class of those two, you would make a class that has the skills from both of those different branches of the swordman's skill tree, as well as being able to equip the weapons from one of those classes. When I say from one of them, I mean the base class, which is the class upon which the dual class is based. Obviously, it's the class that we use the sprite from. So, like, if we use in the case of the Lord Knight and Paladin, it creates what we have entitled, I think, Master Knight. Kind of cheesy. The names are not locked in yet; they can change at any time. But it's called Master Knight right now. I think it uses the Paladin sprite. So that means that any Paladin skills that require weapons that only Paladins can equip will still require the weapons in those items. While with the Lord Knight, if there's like a weapon that the Paladin can equip that the Lord Knight can, and it requires that class of weapon for a skill, we have duplicated that skill in the source code and removed that requirement, so you could use it without having to use the weapon. The same way, and similarly with like a Lord Knight and a Mage class, High Wizard, I mean, you could use the Wizard skills on the Lord Knight class, but still be able to use the Lord Knight's weapons and skills, while the High Wizard skills would not have any requirements on them for weapons or shields or staffs or anything like that. The magic skills still will require the gems that are required to cast the magic skills, regardless of whether it's on a dual class or on the actual High Wizard class. And there are 140 dual classes, one class for each combination that's possible. Some of the classes, I think it's only the Clown and Gypsy classes, don't really work at all at the moment, but the other ones do. And the way you get to this is that you have to max out your character, job level, and your class. You have to get to the Transcendent class, then you have to max out your base level and job level, and then you do an item collection quest for the Netherrealm Diviner, and he's the NPC that takes care of all the dual class stuff. and he will manually rebirth you, which means he'll turn you back into a novice and reset your level. And he will go back through, and you'll have to use the Netheron Diviner when you're re-leveling up to max for job changing. But once you get up to the Transcendent class for your second class tree, you go back to him and he'll send you on a quest through Thanatos Tower. And we've disabled the official Thanatos quest and added in some warps that were disabled otherwise, so you can go all the way up to the top. And you have to defeat MVP monster, which is really just a boss monster, and bring the Diviner back the item, and he will turn you into the dual class. That is the dual class that results from the two main the two transcendent classes that you chose as you were playing through the game. We also have a lot of different quests on our Questmaster NPC. There are monster hunting quests, where you go out and hunt a particular monster or a particular number of monsters, and they can be boss monsters or monsters that we've created. And we do have a lot of quests for monsters that we have added in. And then we also have item collection quests. There's also what I call free quests, which are quests that you can do any number of times, and they give you certain rewards like Zenny or experience or EXP increasement items that increase your experience for a certain amount of time. Then there's also NPC hunting quests, and what those are is that you have a NPC that you have to find, and Halford, the quest NPC, the Questmaster NPC, will give you a set of clues for that first NPC, and based off of those clues you'll have to go figure out where that NPC is at. Such as the clues will be something like, you know, the NPC you're looking for likes to eat lunch next to running water, for instance, and you would, you know, think about what that means. Then you would come to the conclusion that the NPC is in Aldebaran, which it is, and you would go there, and since you're on the quest, you talk to the NPC, and he'll give you a reward for finding you, a small one, and then he'll give you, if there's another NPC to find, he'll give you another set of clues that you use to find the next NPC, and he'll keep doing this until you get to the last one. Then he'll go back to Halford and he'll give you the main quest reward. And then we also have storyline quests, which are quests that have an entire storyline behind them. So you'll go through and follow NPCs. The storyline quests are a combination of all the different quest types combined. NPC hunting, monster hunting, and item collection, all combined together and tied together with an underlying story behind it. And right now we only have, I think, 2 of those quests, but they're pretty long. And we also have what is it? We have a black market NPC, which you won't find, I don't think, this style of black market in other servers, because of just how involved it is as far as making it. Because this black market doesn't run on Zenny, it runs on coins. Gold coins, bronze coins, and silver. Runs on those kind of coins that you can find. And you take them to the black market and you can actually buy just about any kind of item you can imagine from there. We don't have it completely done yet, but it's pretty far along. Some of the other things we have are human monsters, which are actually monsters that have player class sprite that you can go attack, and they drop items for our custom homunculus system. And when I say system, I'm talking about an NPC that has a larger effect on the gameplay of our server than, say, our normal NPC. For instance, like an NPC that has a script that runs in the background, looking for specific outputs and inputs being fired. That's what I would consider to be a system. But this homunculus system we have works for any class except for the creators and alchemists, since they already have the ability to use the official system. And basically you go to the NPC, he gives you a quest to go find soul fragments, and you get those from the human monsters, and when you get 7 you take them back and he will form together a seed of life, which you can use to, he takes those soul fragments and makes an embryo, a homunculus embryo. And then you use a seed of life and Yggdrasil dew to actually summon the homunculus that you choose from the embryo that you choose. And the embryo will stay with you indefinitely. And you will summon it and it will stick around for a certain amount of time. The system uses the GM command to summon a monster. So it's not a permanent summon, it'll stick around for I think it's 3 or 4 minutes and then it will vanish. But you can also summon the homunculus more than once at a time, depending on how many of the Yggdrasil dews and seeds of life you have. But eventually you'll start failing to summon the homunculus and you'll produce a chimera. And yes, this is kind of based off of Full Metal Alchemist if you haven't guessed it yet. But once you reach a certain failure rate of 100%, you will only spawn, only create chimeras. You won't be able to summon your homunculus anymore. So you have to go back to the NPC and do a quest to reset your failure rate. And we also have custom homunculi for the official system too. 56 MVP monsters we've made into homunculi. We also have a battle arena, loosely designed after the one from Final Fantasy VII. You go in and you kill monsters, and based on the number of monsters you kill, you get a certain number of battle points, and you can use those to buy some custom items. Same with quest points, which you get from the quest master. You can use those to buy certain custom items. We also have a disguiser NPC, and you can, and I'll stop there because we have so much stuff it would take too long to cover it all. You can go to our website for GRRO, and that'll be in the description, and you can search on our customization page and you can read about everything that we have that I would consider to be customized to our server. Our rates for the server, before I forget, are for base EXP is 7,000, job EXP is 7.5k. Our item drop rate is anywhere between 20% and 50% above normal, which means, and it's basically 50 being the most common items, and then once you get into cards and MVP item drops, you get down to the 20% range. The max level, base level is 400, max job level 120. The max number of stats you can have is 800. Max HP and SP is 15 million. And I think that's it for rates. The next project, I'm gonna cover the next couple projects with this because there's nothing really custom about them. Our Cabal server is based on Cabal Online, which is a MMO that is probably one of my favorite MMOs. It's actually the only MMO I've actually waited 3.5 years to play. They had a European server up before the North American version because nobody had bought the licenses for it yet. But they IP banned anybody not from Europe, so we had to wait 3.5 years for a stable provider for the game. But I waited that long and got back into it when Og Planet had it. And recently, well, not so recently, but